and gentlemen, welcome to Bosfor Travel. Today, Globo Hydropower is installing its first electronic fuel injection system for hydrogen fuel enhancement into one of the Bosfor coaches. Globo Hydropower are working with Bosfor Travel, with Bosfor Travel being an independent testimonial partner for Globo Hydropower. It's always been our intention at Globo Hydropower to be transparent. And by working with independent testimonial partners, we believe it's another form of transparency where you can compare our product claims with real-life testing from a real-life bus and coach operator. Take you on a tour of the Bosfor Travel depot. Bosfor Travel is a highly professional bus and coach organisation. We're taking you on a tour of their depot, and different parts of their professionalism will stand out, especially the mechanical pit, which is very rare in a bus and coach organisation. Let's go for our tour. This particular coach that we're looking at is the one that we're going to be installing the hydrogen injection system on today. The professionalism of Bosfor Travel, I'm sure, speaks for itself by the standards of the coaches in this industry. Drawing your attention to the mechanical work area of Bosfor Travel Bus and Coach Depot, they have a mechanical pit where the mechanics can actually work underneath the vehicles without need to jack up the vehicles. Safety and quality assurance is a high issue for Bosfor Travel, as we can see in their work area. The owner, Lance Taskin, is very, very conscious of being industry compliant, regulatory compliant, especially when it comes to workplace health and safety and his employees. I introduce you to Lance Taskin, owner and operator of Bosfor Travel. Lance, would you like to share with us your industry experience in the bus and coach industry?
Okay. First of all, my background is Turkish background, and my mother country was in Turkey, and I came here in 1980, and I got involved with the bus industry. I was involved with the bus industry since my early ages, through my uncles had a coach company in Turkey, and I was involved with the buses, so I loved the industry. And I got involved with the bus industry in 1985, and here, driving school buses first, and then made my way up to become an owner-operator in 1998, just before the Olympics, and I started with 1983 model Mercedes-Benz coach, and started to service the industry then, and I got to the industry now to a certain level, which I operate throughout Australia and based in Sydney, and I've been known to have love in the industry, and having liking what you do is the key issue, and I believe in that for so many years, and I believe in the service industry has to be dealt professionally, and also the vehicles I operate they've got a higher standards of maintenance and high standards of quality, and drivers at the same passion. And I made a promise, just a quick thing, I made a promise to myself when I started industry, and I said, if I can't service this industry in the best way I know, and I would give up and sell everything and get out and work as a driver.
Lance, I just want to say from a Globo Hydropower perspective, thank you for the opportunity of working with you. And Lance, I just want to share with everybody about the quality of your drivers, the maintenance of your vehicles. It's above average, and that's quite an admirable achievement. What's your philosophy to keep such a professional organisation going?
My philosophy has always been, as I said, I came from the coach bus industry background through my young age, and my philosophy is to serving the industry in the best way is to give them a higher standard and give them a special welcome when they walk into your vehicle, and I want people to think they are the first one that's sitting on those seats to travel with you, and give them that confidence they are in a safe environment, they are in a friendly environment, they are in a professional environment. And that's my key philosophy, and I would choose my drivers very carefully on that line, and the way they dress, the way they train, the way they approach people. And I'll give you a small example. I mean, within industry, we see a lot of drivers, a lot of operators out there servicing the industry. I'm not putting any bad thoughts about any other thing, but what I'm trying to say is those people getting onto your bus in the service industry, they are your patrons, they are your, I should say, boss, because they are at the end of the day putting the money in your pocket. And if they are happy with your service, and you go a long way. And also, you've got to give them the safety aspect of your company when they're travelling with you, and they're going to be safe, because buses are safest land transport in the world. It's been proven over and over, and you want to implement this to your customers when they're travelling with you, and that's my key philosophies. And I do train and I do choose my drivers along that line, and my driver's been with me for a long period of time. Once they get to concept, and they will stay with me, and they have to have, or like myself, how do you put that? They have to have they've got to love the industry. They've got to love dealing with people to go a long way. Once the driver has that quality, I can teach anybody how to drive a vehicle. But if they have that people skills and they have that quality, and they'll be with me for a long time.
Thank you, Lance. That was brilliant. Lance, would you just like to share with us your interest in Globo hydropower?
My interest started when I met you, by sheer coincidence, and you were looking for somebody to trial your product and trial Globo hydropower. It has been going on for so many years. You've been putting a lot of hours into it, and I've always been open to these sort of suggestions, because what we call it a fossil fuel, it's gonna sort of end one day. So this Globo hydropower, it's more natural sources, and it does brings the emission down, which is good for environment, and also it will improve the performance of the vehicle, and fuel reduction and emission control is a lot better than the diesel powered vehicles, the purely diesel powered vehicles. And I believe in the product, and that's what I'm going with, all the testings, and I don't mind putting my time and hours into it like you guys do. And at the end of the day, the whole world's going to be benefiting out of this system, and I think, and it's going to be this is going to be where the future is. It's an additive to diesel-powered vehicles, and it can be adaptable on any kind of vehicle on the road, and it's the whole world's going to be benefit out of this, not just Australia or America or certain countries, and it's going to everybody's going to be involved in it. I believe in the product, and once I believe in the product, I go all the way.
Thank you, Lance. You've travelled the Globo hydropower journey with us. Is there any special moments that you'd like to share with us?
Oh, there's few special moments with us, with Elaine and Peter, and we went to, Elaine approached me and then said, we're going to go to Melbourne and to this testing facility and take the coach out there without people and try Globo hydropower system on your bus. I said, yeah, well, I jumped on it, and it was supposed to be 3-day trial. So we went out there, find a place, and the whole experience was really good. We were talking to the engineers, and there was machinery and full-on test facilities, and it's worth thousands of dollars, and the guys are so helpful and all that stuff. And as I said, this is was a trial and error project from the day one. We were trying different products, different things to get the best efficient way to operate the system to benefit the coach operator, the environment, everything else as a combined effort. The funny thing, like, everything went well, and what we were doing, we were putting the gas in and running the vehicle. We were going through so much gas, and we just couldn't. and we just said, okay, the tank was empty, maybe it wasn't filled up properly, and this, that, the other. And we've done all these and done the testing of it, but we went through so much gas, and we were just saying there's something wrong. Either the gas is not full, or they didn't fill it up, and we came back to Sydney, and it was funny, like we were scratching our heads and everything went well good, but why we were using so much gas. And one of the hoses we connected there, it had a hole in it, and we were losing the gas out of that, and we couldn't figure it out. And when we got back to Sydney, we laughed. So this is one of the moments where we were just scratching our heads and finding out, and we were just we were getting to the end. Why we're losing this much gas? We were just trying to give up the idea, and it's not working, this, that, the other. It was only a simple $5 hose to replace. It was just update the product to more safer way, more reliable way. That's the whole issue. That's the whole idea with the global hydropower. Okay, at the moment we're not a hugely publicised company or hugely known company, but we are quite achievers, and we're going a long way.
Lance, in the past you've done some testing for us on behalf of Globo Hydropower. Today we're installing the hydrogen ECU injection system into your coach. Lance, would you like to share with us a little bit of past testing that you've conducted, and what type of coach that you'll be testing for us?
The vehicles we tested in the past, like including the Melbourne run, it's the same vehicle as what we're doing a test today. The testing we've done on the other vehicle was completely manual system, which was the gas flow was the same rate going, whether you're doing 60 kilometres an hour, whether you're doing 80 kilometres an hour or 100 kilometres an hour, it was the same gas flow was going through the system. And so there was so much wastage, in my opinion, and you agree with that. And we were talking about in those days doing an ECU injection system. This is how we're going to do it. And we're still, as I said, we've got the idea in our heads and we're putting it together. That's the whole good thing about global hydropower, because everybody's opinion matters. And what I was doing in that system when we put it on our vehicle, my vehicle, and we were getting 30% savings on fuel, and throughout the testing we've done in Melbourne, I think we've done similar 30% emission reduction. And mind you, these vehicles, my vehicles, they are second-hand vehicles. They're not by all means a brand new vehicle, so they have been used in the past, although my maintenance system is so highly respectable to a lot of people, and I do keep on my maintenance system up to date all the time, make sure all your running systems running perfect, running close to perfect possible, and so you get the best fuel economy and the less breakdown on the road, preventative maintenance, and like for example the vehicle gets serviced every 10,000 regardless whether it needs it or not. With the high-tech technology vehicles now, the servicing doesn't get required for up to 20 to 5,000 kilometres, but I do regardless to do it every 10,000. That way I can keep an eye on things and make sure everything's running on the certain level. The gas goes the same way, and we're like, for example, the way we were testing the vehicle, running with the gas, for argument's sake, from Sydney to Canberra, we were running the vehicle with the gas on it, and then when we get to Canberra, we turn the gas off and run back without the gas, and the difference is in between the fuel consumption wise, the difference will give me per kilometre how much I do save on the fuel. And the vehicle was performance wise, what we call it in our terms, I was gaining 1 gear going up hills, which would be it tells you how much torque you gain. So for argument's sake, if you're going the same hill, say going to Canberra, coming back on the same hill, If it's going up a 4th year, and with the gas you were going up a 5th year. So that gives you a better performance overall with the vehicle emission, vehicle performance and the fuel consumption. With the new ECU system, we're going to achieve a better goal because we're going to be saving on the gas as well. So the gas consumption is going to be greater, and also vehicles respond to system is going to be greater because the ECU system is going to work in with the vehicle's electronic system. So for argument's sake, when on the old system, when I put on a cruise control going on the long drives, and the gas system was getting out of action because it was working with the vehicle's manual system. But when you apply the electronic, which is a cruise control, and the gas was going out of action, so you were just working purely with diesel. So for that effect, you had to use normal accelerator all the time. And now with this ECU system, we can use the vehicle electronic system with the electronic system we're putting in for global hydropower gas system. So it's going to be great, and the savings is going to be great again.
Good afternoon everybody, and welcome back to our bus installation. My name's David Marston. I'm the Australian Master Mechanic, but I guess equally as importantly, I'm also the Master Mechanic and trainer for GHPL. So my role with GHPL is to look at the Master Mechanics who want to come on board to make sure they're suitably qualified, but also to make sure they've got some now. So a lot of our system is very, very easy to fit. It's plug and play. It's very simple. But in some areas, we certainly are looking for mechanics who have got the ability to think on their feet. To give you a bit of a background, my involvement with the industry is for 35 years. I'm currently on the Governing Council, which is like the board of the Motor Traders Association for New South Wales and for Australia. So at that level, we're dealing with politicians and helping to decide the future of the Australian automotive industry. At a local level, I have a workshop with some mobile vehicles, and we carry out general repairs. We're engineers, we fit child restraints, and we carry out a lot of LPG work as well. Today we've got a crew of people here. We've been very lucky to get a late model bus, and we're fitting a computer unit, an ECU, to this bus. One of the concerns we had initially was to make sure it was a simple installation, and a lot of it's plug and play and fairly easy wired. And the beauty of this system is, if the system were to fail for any reason at all, the vehicle just reverts back to how it was before it was installed. So if it runs out of gas, if we were to ever have an electrical failure or an ECU failure, it would revert back. I should say these ECUs have been around a long time. They're very tried and tested. They've been on a number of vehicles, from race cars to cars travelling across through the bush, through the Australian heat, to things like this, the coaches where there's a stack of heat at the back of the coach. So very, very good ECU, and very, very straightforward and easy to fit. So part of this test, we've already had great results with this bus, is just to look at the ECU and to make sure the ECU is giving us that extra torque. And because we've got extra torque, of course, the bus still wants to travel at 80 kilometres an hour, but because we're getting extra torque and extra power, the driver lifts his foot off the accelerator, so we're getting great fuel savings.
Between an electronic controller unit,
okay.
What's your expectations? Increase of efficiency?
Okay, yeah, great. So the ECU is going to do a number of things for us. For the driver, it's going to make his driving experience a lot more pleasurable. So he's going to get torque. So one of the bus company fellows was telling me that he's got a set run, and he knows that when he goes up this particular hill, he's got to change from third to second and right down through the gears. With a ECU, with the system on, it'll stay and enable him to stay in third gear for a lot longer with a lot more power. We get much more accurate control with an ECU, so we can manage the amount of fuel, and we can manage the emissions that the vehicle is putting out. So an ECU is much more accurate. So in the earlier days, we just used to put a lot of fuel into a vehicle, it used to put out a lot of pollution, and it used to run. When we put hydrogen on, we cut down the pollution, and it was a lot better. But to meet late model specifications, Euro 5, Euro 6 and 6A and 6B that are coming to Australia, we need an ECU to make that system work. So many of our cars now have got electronics on it. A coach like this would probably have 30 onboard computers. So our ECU's got to blend with those computers and work. But yeah, so we'll get more power and more economy. Any more questions?
What are the savings in putting this in?
It's going to vary from vehicle to vehicle. We've had up to a 50% fuel saving. I would be expecting something like this will be getting between 30, 35, 40%. Just depends. It always depends a little bit on the driver as well. So if you've got two choices, you can either drive for economy or you can drive for power. So it's like anything with a car. If you drive it very, very hard, it's going to use more fuel. But if you drive it certainly easier and drive for economy, as most professional drivers do, then that's where the economy will come in. So, but it certainly will, with the low-down torque. What a lot of passengers notice in the bus is the smoothness, the better acceleration, and the more comfort in the ride. Okay.
Also, I might add, with this and the ECU system,
Come on over.
it's going to work out so much of a benefit. And as far as the fuel consumption, the previous vehicle I had in this, it was a manually operated gas system. So it was, what it was doing is on the accelerator pedal, it was working on a micro switch. So when you accelerate, it used to open the gas system to full delivery of the gas, mixed with fuel obviously. And every time on the long run, as you all guys know, when you have a car, when you've got a cruise control, you put the cruise control on, it takes over everything, and the cruise control dominates the car, and you get a better fuel economy because it's a constant speed, constant everything. Because of the previous system, before the ECU, we couldn't operate the cruise control, because as soon as you put the cruise control, you take your foot off the accelerator. Once you take your foot off the accelerator, the system goes out of action because it got connected to the accelerator. But with the ECU system, so because it's going to work with the vehicle's electronic, so once you put the cruise control, the gas is going to work better because the vehicle's electronic system is going to work out what he needs going uphill, flat, and the vehicle is going to work a lot more smoother, and the fuel economy is going to be a lot greater on the long open roads. So that's going to benefit, like the ECU is going to benefit in that sense greatly. So
you did right there.
We're just going to see you guys go along.
And the beauty of it is because we've got a fuel map, we can change the amount of hydrogen we're putting in under different load conditions. So if we wanted to take off quickly, say in a heavy agricultural vehicle, we could give it a lot of gas for moving off very quickly. If on something like a coach where they're sitting on 95, 100 kilometres an hour, we can make a sweet spot to give them the best economy. So we're giving them the best of both worlds. Torque down low and economy up the top. And as you were saying quite rightly, before we had a switch and so the gas would suddenly turn on. Now the gas is available through the whole range. So instead of just getting the benefit in one area, we're getting the benefit all the way through. So it's a fantastic move having it with an ECU.
So
Great.
how much reduction do you believe you might see from the exhaust emissions?
When we do the government testing, like I think you've been told before, we will have our government printout. As opposed to using an analyzer, it doesn't give you a true reading. We'll get a government reading because independent witnesses are a lot more taken on board a lot better than what we say to the average Joe on the street.
Yeah, so Peter's certainly right. We'll get some government testing, but one of the great things you see instantly, we can talk about how much pollution's there and back, is as an example, when we did our last test in Ghana, we had a generator and you could physically see the amount of black smoke that it was putting out. And you could see the particulate matter that was coming out, little lumps of black soot. Once the hydrogen turned on, you could physically hear the engine running smoother, and after a second or two, that smoke cleared right out. And in fact, a couple of people said, "Have you turned it off?" There was so little smoke coming out of it, and it was a fairly smoky generator. So particulate emission is going to be right down, which was one of the main things. So yeah, so it's a fabulous system. Thank you very much.
I agree. I add to that. On the previous vehicle we tested on to go to Melbourne and back, because it becomes with the experience over the years. You always look on the because unfortunately we don't have a glass in the back, so we can't see that. So you always look on your rear vision mirror to see, because if you have a water leak or if you have something in the back, you can see a spray coming out or your exhaust fumes coming out. You can watch this. And when we were running with the gas, you can see that on the take with these vehicles, older type vehicles, when you take off, that's when you use most of the fuel. So you see a black smoke coming out when you on the light side. And once you start using the gas, we switch the gas on, you can see like with the generator you explained,
far less,
and you see far less black smoke coming out. That, I mean, I don't know. You have to put a measurement through the system to check the system, but that gives you indication it's running lean. It's running what it's supposed to, because that black smoke means it's a carbon dioxide. Or
we're getting much more efficient burning.
That's right, yes.
And so effectively what happens with diesel or any fuel is, if we were to measure how much power we got out of the fuel for one cylinder's worth, we might find we've got about 60% of power. By putting hydrogen in there as well, it actually increases. So for the same cylinder of power, we're getting about 90%, we're getting about 90 to 95% of power out of there. So that's where we get our extra 30%. And it's burning the fuel efficiently. Of course, the fuel burns efficiently, and that's where our emission savings are. Great. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Globo Hydropower, the original and true version, is supported by Australia's champion and hero, Tony Mundine. If you have any other version offered to you, it's not the original. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Mundine, Globo Hydropower Ambassador.
GHP, that's for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we close today at Bosfor Travel, I'd like to take you through the next steps. The Bosfor Travel coach will be doing its testing. It'll be testing with and without hydrogen in city driving and long distance driving. I'd also like to say congratulations to Bosfor Travel, as they will be the first participant in the Globo Hydropower Limited Emissions Reduction Fund program. Congratulations again to Bosfor Travel for being part of the transport industry, seeking to lower the emissions that's being put out into our environment. The Emissions Reduction Fund is a federal scheme where the Australian government is actively seeking to reduce negative greenhouse gases emissions. And we are proud to be part of that scheme. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for the results of the Bosfor Travel Globo Hydropower testing.